An innocent young man spends time in prison for robbery he never committed, put him up full mass. There's evidence of malfeasance by those who attempted to prosecute him. They are not being held accountable. I'm going to give you the background to a story that you should know about. The New York Daily News did an exclusive report about Mr. Victor Abraham, a Staten Island man who spent nearly a year locked up in Rikers Island before his acquittal on 2 robbery cases because an NYPD detective decided to withhold crucial evidence of his actual innocence. Abraham, an immigrant, from Ghana, who is engaged and has 2 children, had no criminal record before his 2 arrests. His mother was able to finally bail him out for $15,000 in September 2017 after he had been incarcerated for nearly a year. He refused a plea deal. He said no and went on to beat all charges after a week-long Staten Island Supreme Court trial, November 2018. Do you know how rare that is? He beat it, all right? Let me give you details on the arrest. Abraham's first arrest was October 17, 2016 on charges that derived a 33-year-old man on Heberton Avenue in Port Richmond 8 days earlier. He was released on a $10,000 bail a few days after his arrest. The crook in that case brandished a gun, telling the victim to remember his face as an accomplice looked on. 4 days later, the victim was on an S44 bus in Staten Island when he took a picture of a fellow rider he thought might be the gunman. The victim gave the photo to Detective Stephen Lutz of the NYPD Central Robbery Division, telling him the bus rider looked similar to the gunman, though he was not 100% sure, according to the trial transcript. The picture of the bus rider, which the news has seen, shows a teen or young man who clearly does not resemble Abraham. Nonetheless, Abraham, then 19, was arrested after the victim picked his picture in a photo array prepared by police. His federal court complaint says. It still isn't entirely clear how Lutz came to consider Abraham as a suspect in the crime, though law enforcement sources said Abraham was being eyed as a possible suspect in a robbery pattern for which 2 other men were ultimately charged by the feds. Abraham's lawyer, Robert Walters, learned of the photo taken on the S44 bus, which was mentioned in a police report prepared by Lutz and turned over to Walters at the start of Abraham's trial. But the actual photo was never entered into the case file, as is required for evidence that could clear the accused. Now you have misconduct. Detective Lutz said it wasn't necessary to put the picture in the file because the victim was not certain the photo was the right person. Though the victim said he was robbed by 3 men, only Abraham was arrested in the case. There's more. Staten Island Supreme Court Judge William Garnett tossed both of the victims' identifications of pictures of Abraham. Garnett said the photo array that the first victim viewed was unduly suggestive. Unduly suggestive? That sounds illegal. That sounds unduly illegal, Judge, because Abraham was the only one pictured in a white shirt. That's a no-no. The same thing happened in the photo array viewed by the second victim. Garnett says, see, cops know how to play these games, and they were playing the game. The judge said the case could proceed to trial, giving the DA's office the opportunity to have both victims testify. The ruling was a full year before Abraham's trial. Garnett was not yet aware of the photo of the bus rider that wasn't revealed until trial. The trial covered both of the robberies that Abraham was accused. On the witness stand, Detective Lutz admitted to the jury he did not include the picture taken of a possible suspect on the S44 bus by the adult victim on or in the October 19, 2016 robbery. Because of Judge Garnett's pretrial ruling, prosecutors were not able to tell the jury that about the teen victim's identification in October 27, 2016 robbery. It took the jury less than 2 hours to completely acquit Abraham of both crimes, said a report in the Staten Island Advance. The suit over Abraham's arrest remains pending. Settlement talks have been held, but the 2 sides have not gotten close to an agreement, court papers show. Detective Lutz retired. They let him go. They let him go home with a pension, 2022. He did not respond to requests for comment. The NYPD asked if Detective Lutz was ever disciplined, told the News to file a Freedom of Information law request to process, a process that typically takes months. Andrew Crawford, who is the spokesperson for the Staten Island DA's office, would not say why prosecutors did not press Detective Lutz for the photo taken on the bus when they turned over discovery evidence to Abraham's criminal defense lawyer. Crawford also would not say if prosecutors reported the matter to the NYPD leadership. Michael E. McMahon is the Staten Island DA since 2016. Buck stops with him. His office engaged in either a unethical or completely negligent conduct. The fallout of Abraham's incarceration, the months in jail, sent him down a spiral from which he has not been able to recover, he says. Before his arrest, he lived alone. He was working toward a high school equivalency diploma with an eye on eventually joining the Air Force. But while behind bars, he says he missed the deadline to apply for government funding. He needed to renew his lease. And after his acquittal, wound up living in an abandoned house. After he met his fiancée, the couple bounced around to different residences, including a homeless shelter. And now they live in Elizabeth, New Jersey. They're trying to stave off eviction while both struggle to find work. And Abraham grapples with his now schizophrenia. A very sad, sad story of the completely innocent human being with no criminal record, no blemish on his background, and was hoping to be able to actually be productive with his life. Taken away from him because of prosecutors and a police department that seemingly engaged in misconduct. Sharon, thoughts here.
And if you were to run a background check at one of the organizations that you helm, Doc, and I'm not even suggesting you would, likely the acquittal doesn't come up before the arrest and the allegation does. So his life is essentially ruined because people who can't do a lineup right don't take the care in the system to correct their mistakes. And it's not a mistake, it's criminal misconduct. And I don't believe the jury took 2 hours, Doc. I know that's the reporting. It probably took them 2 minutes and then they wanted lunch. They just wanted lunch.
You're right. They probably agreed right away. Hell of a thing. All right. We'll bring you updates as they come.